First, tonight, the Rivers State House of Assembly has begun an impeachment process against Governor Simlai Fubara. 26 members of the House, led by Speaker Martin Zamehule, have issued a notice of gross misconduct against Fubara and Deputy Governor Ngozi Odo. The lawmakers are accusing the governor of reckless expenditure of public funds and hindering or obstructing the House of Assembly. Other allegations include illegal appointments without legislative screening and withholding the salary of the clerk of the state's House of Assembly.
Meanwhile, the Rivers State government has accused the State House of Assembly of frustrating efforts by Governor Fubara to implement the judgment of the Supreme Court on the political crisis in the state, as it has evidence of sending official correspondences to the lawmakers. At a press briefing, Commissioner for Information Joe Johnson alleges that the Assembly has refused to acknowledge correspondences from the governor despite efforts to notify and engage with them.
A few days after the Friday, February 28, 2025 shocking judgment of the Supreme Court, Governor Simlai Fubara has never left anyone in doubt about his preparedness not only to obey but fully implement the Supreme Court judgment, no matter the unfortunate and unfavorable outcome. In a statewide broadcast a few days after the judgment, the governor declared his acceptance of the judgment and made an unambiguous commitment to full compliance and implementation. The narrative from the Rivers State House of Assembly is that Governor Fubara has refused to present the budget. Following the refusal by the Assembly to receive and acknowledge the governor's letter delivered by the government officials and the courier company, the Rivers State government took the initiative of publishing the letter in 2 national newspapers. We cannot produce an acknowledgement copy because the Assembly rejected the letter from the governor. We can, however, refer all parties to the substituted means of service in the Nation and in the Guardian. The Rivers State governor is acting in good faith, notwithstanding the false narratives that are being peddled by the same people frustrating compliance with the judgment of the court.
Well, we're joined now by media consultant and public affairs analyst Dr. Impunity-Modibbo, and at our overflow studio is public interest litigation lawyer Wayne Elijah. Thank you, both of you gentlemen, for joining us on News Now. Let me begin with you, the lawyer, Prince Wayne. First off, when the State Assembly is on indefinite break, otherwise referred to as sine die, can they still start the process of impeaching a governor, especially as it applies in the case of Rivers State? And what exactly is the constitutional process of removing a state governor in Nigeria?
Okay, so thank you for having me. And looking at whether or not they are constitutionally empowered to commence the process, we'll look at Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution to appreciate this position. Now, when there is any allegation of gross misconduct by virtue of Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution, the House of Assembly, any of the member, may cause a notice of such allegation, okay, to the House. Now, that notice is expected to be supported by 1/3 of the members, okay, of the House. And after that, within 7 days, the Speaker is expected to serve either the governor or the deputy governor, whoever is alleged to have committed a gross misconduct, that notice. And then after he has served them, or him, as the case may be, he is expected to cause, to allow him to make a reply, or either through his legal representative is expected to make a reply. That's the holder of the office who is alleged to have committed gross misconduct. And then after which, the next step is going to be that the person may choose to reply, that's the governor or the deputy, may choose to reply to this allegation. And then after he reply to this allegation, they will now convey, the House will convey, and look at the reply and determine if this allegation should be investigated. It will now be by motion, okay? That is, the House, 2/3 of all the members is going to vote if they should refer the matter to the Chief Judge of the state, so that it will now constitute a 7-man panel. Now, of course, within 14 days of that notice of misconduct, the Speaker is expected to send, this motion to, if this motion has been passed, they're expected to serve the notice to the Chief Judge, who will now constitute a 7-man panel. And these procedures are very, 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 very rigid, in that if you miss one step of this particular procedure, the whole proceedings will be a nullity. Okay? So now, the next thing you're now going to look at is that the Chief Judge will now constitute a 7-man panel, who, of course, have a time frame to work and then bring out their findings. And then, of course, you know that the removal of the governor or the deputy governor is not justiciable. What it simply means is that you cannot entertain the validity or otherwise in court, except you come under procedural defect, that the provisions of section 188 has not been complied with. So these procedures I have just outlined must be strictly complied with, otherwise the removal will be invalid ab initio. Okay,
thank you so much for giving us the legal perspective. Let me bring it to you, Mr. Modibbo. I mean, when you consider what has played out in the last 2 weeks in Rivers State, on the one hand, the governor has claimed, and he has reacted to this notice, saying that he had made overtures to represent the 2025 budget as required by the judgment of the Supreme Court, but he was locked out. And if you consider the back and forth correspondences or not between the lawmakers and the governor, you wonder if this is truly about gross misconduct, or the phrase Nigerian politicians like to use, a witch hunt. What did you make of the impeachment notice by the lawmakers today?
Thank you, Adeswa. Thank you, Ngozi, for this invitation this evening to discuss on this matter of fundamental importance. Let me place a caveat here, that I'm neither from Rivers State, nor somebody that's politically inclined to the parties involved.
Yeah.
Therefore, I am looking at this issue from a very dispassionate issue from perspective, and also looking at it from a kind of intellectual viewpoint based on philosophical thinking of somebody watching by the sidelines. Having stated this, I think this notice of impeachment, which the House of Assembly Rivers State has served or has transmitted to the governor, I think is one of the most outrageous examples of brazen impunity within the political system of this country. It is so sad that in this era of globalization and multiculturalism, where we have standards being set as examples of how conduct in democratic settings should be, we have seen a kind of reign of tyranny where we've seen political issues being looked at from a perspective of combative nature on personal issues. To me, I've seen the issue of the governor and his perceived godfather or his godfather, taking the angle of personification. It seems as if it is a personal fight that is coming on board that has been able to look at the political system of this country from a viewpoint of an anomie. It is something that is sad, it's something that is unwarranted, and I think we have to have a reflection, a kind of sober reflection on what is happening. Bearing in mind, the River State, as important as it is towards the economic emancipation or the economic trajectory of this country, will have to be dispassionate. Let us look at the issue, and we should be circumspect of the fact that Rivers seems to be a kind of, seems to be a kind of a bank, so to say, of Nigeria's economic fortunes, where we've seen that this political issue. Let me sound a word of caution to Mr. President. I think, on all honesty, he should look at this issue dispassionately and see to the possibility of getting this in the board. Because I see the way and manner, the combative nature that Wike and the governor are taking, which has rubbed onto the House of Assembly, taking a very dangerous dimension. I can see the boisterous nature, the loquaciousness, and in fact the disdainful way and manner of speech of which Nelson Wike has been doing on Rivers, affecting the ethnic nationalities and also affecting the political system. It is a very dangerous. It's just like placing...
Well, he said it was quoted out of context if you're referring to the Ijo matter.
No, but I saw him live on your channel. I mean, they were there. Channels were there. They were interviewed. He was interviewed by panel of distinguished journalists, where I had him speak about these issues of saying that, look, they're inconsequential, that after all, they are not...
Well, since it says, you know, he was misquoted, let's just say that he's withdrawing, or he regrets whatever statement he made on the Ijo issue. Let me quickly bring back Prince Wayne. Now, the constitutional process of impeachment is actually designed to, you know, uphold accountability and, of course, prevent arbitrary removal of anybody, whether it's a governor or the president. But in this case, there seems to be some kind of political influence. What are the implications of this if eventually Fubara is removed? Or do you see some kind of script being played out here?
Well, looking at it from the legal perspective, the Rivers State House of Assembly, as we all know, the Supreme Court a while ago has already made comments on the legality of the current House of Assembly as constituted. And of course, they have the power by virtue of Section 188 to commence the removal proceedings. But then, let's also look at what is the allegation, okay? The allegation borders on non-compliance with the Supreme Court's judgment. And I look at it and we, of course, we hear that the governor had alleged that he had made attempts to comply with this judgment, which is obviously frustrated, according to him. And I joined my brother, who has also placed a caveat, because I'm neither from Rivers State, and I'm not affiliated to any of the parties. So my views here are totally dispassionate, okay? So for me, I believe the team of lawyers of the governor, what they ought to do is very simple. Just file an affidavit of compliance or an affidavit of fact before the Supreme Court of Nigeria, stating the facts of either the attempt to comply or compliance, so as to what? So as to activate the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in order to make a further order as to the order they have already given in their judgment. Because the truth is this: the judgment of the Supreme Court is final. However, if there are conditions that the Supreme Court have stated in a judgment that is supposed to be met, the only way to convince the Supreme Court to get a further order is to file an affidavit of compliance, just like when a court bailiff tries to serve you a court process. He can either file an affidavit of service or an affidavit of non-service. You cannot just be talking by way of mouth. You cannot just stand and come and tell us that you have made attempts. This country is being operated by laws. And one thing we should understand is that the judicial powers is vested in the courts. By virtue of Section 6, if you look at Section 6 subsection 1, the judicial powers of this country is vested in the courts. And if you look at subsection 5 of Section 6, you will see the courts listed there. And of course, the apex court is the Supreme Court. By virtue of Section 6, subsection 6, paragraph A and B, the Supreme Court is vested with the inherent powers and sanction of the court of law to determine both the civil rights and obligation of any person or government.
Yes,
so
indeed.
as it is, the impeachment or the removal proceedings, we don't have impeachment in our constitution, it's called removal. The removal proceedings of Governor Fubara, as it is, it's already commenced. And the truth is this: if there is any procedural defect, you can get it for sure that it will not stand.
All right, thank you so much, Prince Wayne. I mean, there are those who have also questioned the legality of this process, given that the actual stance of this lawmaker is yet to be determined by the courts. They've raised questions about their defection, which is still at the Federal High Court. But let me come to you. Let me come back to you, Mr. Modibbo, as we wrap up. At the heart of this is governance. The state government reacted today saying that what the lawmakers have done will ground the state automatically. And they are already saying that match salaries will not be paid in Rivers State. And so many other amenities will also face the consequences. At the heart of this is the Rivers State people. You have mentioned President Bola Tinubu, but President Bola Tinubu met with Pandef and said, I mean,
go back home
and make peace and apply the rule of law. So what more can President Bola Tinubu do? And should we really be calling the president to wade into all the state and individual matters? Because as far as some people are concerned, this is between two men, a Wike former governor and now FCT minister, and the serving governor, his successor, Fubara.
Well, thank you very much. Since Mr. President has thrown in the towel by way of saying that, look, they should go and iron out the issues based on judicial perspective of the matter, you know, beforehand, we have to look back and then call on the leaders of the community or leaders of Rivers State to intervene. Because from all indications, things in both content and character, you'll agree with me, Adeswa, that things are moving from the sublime to the ridiculous where, you know, where things really are turning topsy-turvy. And I just want a situation where the elders of Rivers State should come in and step in very fast. Because the way and manner things are going, Rivers being the center point of our economic policy in this country must be looked at from a very close perspective based on nationalistic and patriotic viewpoint. Otherwise, if we allow these things to happen, it's just like placing a keg of gunpowder on a dynamite. I strongly believe that these Ijo boys that I see, whose records we've seen not long ago during the, was it Obasanjo then, coming to Yaradua where things have been settled. Yeah. If care is not taken, we are going to be seriously in for it. However, let me make this last comment.
Yes, please.
You see, to me, it seems as if there is the need for the combative nature of maybe the FCT minister to soften issues for peace and tranquility of Rivers people. Because Rivers people, they say when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers.
Yeah.
And therefore, as far as I'm concerned, he should soften the grounds so as to make sure that there is peace and tranquility in the state. Otherwise, if this combative nature is allowed to prosper and to propel itself, honestly and sincerely, I am seeing serious trouble in Rivers. And
we hope things don't get to that.
Not take it to that. May
we hope things don't get to that point.
May every challenges be turned to opportunities by the grace of God for peace and prosperity in Rivers.
Thank you very much.
We're in problem.
Thank you very much, Impunity-Modibbo. Let's hope reason carries the day on all sides. Dr. Impunity-Modibbo is media consultant, public affairs analyst, and Prince Wayne Chikezie Elijah, principal partner at WCE & Co. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.